Boston, one of America's oldest cities. Since I'm here, I'm going to make tonight about doing what our founding fathers intended us Americans to do, which is grabbing an Irish beer and then trying to win other people's money at a card game. Let's go.
There's just something about Boston that puts me in the mood to visit an old, dimly lit Irish pub with low ceilings and have a Guinness. But Boston has also become a place where you can play some cards, so I'm going to hop in the action. And before anyone mentions it, yes, I know, the rake here is high, but the action is up there with it. Let's play. Before I start with a first hand of note, I just want to say, welcome back. I've had a lot of flying lately, along with a leisure vacation to Europe, so there hasn't been much time to work on my channel. But I'm back, and I've got material for more. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and let's get to it. I've got 10-8 of diamonds on the button. There's a couple of limps, and the cutoff makes it 15. I like suited connectors and gappers, who doesn't? And with me being in position, I go ahead and make the call. The limpers call as well, and we go 4 ways to 8 deuce 3 with 2 spades. Wrong suit, but it's okay, because for now we've got top pair. Checks to the cutoff, who goes ahead and bets 35 bucks. No other decision to be made here except to call, and the other player's exit stage left. When an offsuit 4 hits the felt, the cutoff continues for $50. The board's getting a little bit more connected now, and an ace-x holding, which made a c-bet on the flop, has now improved to a gut shot, but I've got top pair still. 2 pair combinations on this board are unlikely holdings in his range, and with about 2.5 to 1 on a call, I can't go anywhere. So my 50 bucks goes into the middle. River's a little dicey, the 9 of spades. The obvious front door draw has now come in, and I no longer have top pair. But the cutoff checks to me, and I don't see a bet accomplishing anything, so I just take the showdown value and check it back. He turns over 10-8.
What?
Well, that was anticlimactic. Chop it up, dealer. Oh boy, these guys again. Fun fact, I played an unvlogged session the night before and ran them into aces. Again. And as I type out this script, I'm reminded of a session I played last week where, you guessed it, I ran kings into aces. I'm clearly an expert at doing that. So with 2 times documented on this channel and another 2 happening behind the scenes, that makes 4 separate occasions of running kings and aces in just a few short months. I gotta say, it's getting pretty old. Anyway, with these kings, I see bet a jack-high board and everyone folds. So that's 15 bucks in the win column with pocket kings versus about 2,500 in the loss column with them by running them into aces.
It's close.
Anyway, king jack of hearts in the hijack. There's a limp from under the gun 1, and I open this suited Broadway up to 15. Big blind calls, as does under the gun plus 1. 3 ways to 5-7-9 with 2 hearts, which is about as good as it gets without flopping a made hand. Big blind decides to go ahead and lead into the field, betting 25, and under the gun 1 calls. I debate a raise here, and I think I could go either way in this spot, but we're not playing too deep, with both opponents having just under 300 left to play for, so I take the lower variance option and just make the call. Well, I get the immediate reward when the 10 of hearts peels off on the turn, giving me the second nuts. Now in classic fashion, both players check it over to me after having shown interest on the flop. Guess I'll be doing the betting. I go with a sizing of 55 to entice hands with 1 heart in them or straight draws to call, and I do get 1 customer, the big blind. A 6 peels off on the river, which entices the big blind to make a tiny bet of $45. Well, if it looks like a block bet and talks like a block bet, it's probably a block bet. I put in enough chips to represent the rest of his stack, hoping he has a non-believing straight that will make a crying call, but unfortunately, he does make the correct laydown. Still a nice spot coming my direction.
Got him off?
Now my stack's growing, I have to peel my hand over to the side for the camera, which is a great problem to have. Here I've got jacks and make a squeeze play with them from the big blind, and everyone returns their cards to the dealer. Fine by me, this is a tough hand to play out of position. Oh hey there 10-8 of diamonds, are we doing this again? Last time we chopped up a pot and just paid right to the house, so let's look for a better result this time. I'm in the hijack with this hand and am first into the pot, opening the action to 12 bucks. Button calls, and at a low stakes, this is almost always entices one or both blinds to call as well. And sure enough, the big blind defends. Flop comes queen high with 2 diamonds, which is nice, but big blind leads out for 20 bucks. This is almost always a top pair or better holding, but with the flush draw, I can't go anywhere yet, so I call. And button folds. I pick up additional equity on the turn in the form of a gut shot, but big blind clearly likes what he's got as he bets full pot this time. Here I make a purely mathematical decision. I'm getting 2-1 to call, but with 12 outs, I need 3-1 on my money. I don't believe he'll put the rest of his chips in if my draw completes on the river, so I just choose to wait for a better spot and let this one go. Nice bet, sir. Alright, in this one the spice level gets upped a bit. Forgive the camera work as I didn't start the recording until the flop. The straddle's on, there's a limp, and I open up the action to 25 with king 7 of spades from the hijack. A bit wide, yes, but I digress. The cutoff calls, as does the straddler and the limper, so we're going 4 ways to a flop with 100 already in the middle. Flop, again, is as good as it gets without making a hand. Ace 3-8 with 2 spades. It's nice to know the ace of your flush draw is accounted for on the board, isn't it? The first 2 to act check to me, and I bet 30, to which the cutoff responds by raising the action to 75. It's too much for the first 2 players, and I've only got to put 45 more in to match the raise, so this is a no-brainer call. Bink! The 10 of spades drops, no sweat.
My man.
I check to the raiser for deception, and he takes the bait, betting 75. To get value right now in case another spade comes on the river to kill the action, or worse, the board pairs, I go for the check raise, making it 225 to go. He snap calls, which leads me to believe he either has a smaller flush or a set. In that case, I really don't want to see the board pair, and I don't want to see another spade come to the river to kill the action. Every time. I jam for about 400 effective, and of course he doesn't think very long before letting his hand go. He shows ace 3 of clubs for flop 2 pair, which can't possibly call a shove on this run out. Not even sure he would call a tiny bet there. Don't you love it when you make a flush and then the run out is just complete overkill, stopping the action dead in its tracks? Glad it's coming this way, but that was an expensive river, as I'm sure I could have made a few extra hundred in this spot without it. I've got ace queen of diamonds in the small blind. It's a straddled pot and I make a squeeze play over some limps, raising the action to 50 bucks. I don't take the pot down quite yet, but I do isolate just one other player, which is what we want when playing out of position. Flop is really nice, queen 5-3. We've got top along with a backdoor wheel draw as backup. I make a smaller c-bet of 45 and my opponent calls. When a 6 falls on the turn, I just shove the rest of my opponent's chips as he only has about a pot-sized bet behind. I either want him to commit with a weaker queen right now or pay for any draws he might have. He doesn't go for it and folds. Which leads me to the hand of the night in this relatively short episode. Again in the small blind, I look down at 2 red jacks. The straddle's on again, and this time someone else is first in, opening the pot to 15. There's a call, and when it gets to me, I've got a mandatory raise. I make it 65, but I should have gone bigger, something more like 75 or 80 to discourage action, since I'm first act post-flop. A good result with this hand would be to just take the pot down now. But of course, that doesn't happen. And in fact, I get a cold call from the big blind, which brings along the original raiser as well. I'm gonna have to earn this one. 3 ways to a flop with 220 already in the middle, and it's 10-4-3 with 2 clubs. Well, it's relatively safe. My jacks are still an overpair, and I don't have the jack of clubs, which, right now at least, is a good thing. I can bet for value on this flop and get flush draws and worse pairs to call. If another club comes, then I'll wish I had the jack of clubs, but we'll cross that bridge later. I make a bet of 85, and big blind again chooses to make life a little more difficult for me. He raises to 200. The pre-flop raiser nopes out of this pot, and now it's back to me. What is going on here? He didn't flop a set on me, did he? He could have, but this player is also capable of bluffing, which I've seen him do earlier in the session. Knowing this, after a brief mini tank, I determine I have to put the money in. I match the 200. $620 in the middle now, and the turn makes my life even more miserable. It's the 8 of clubs. The obvious flush draw comes in, so if he raised flop as a semi-bluff with 2 clubs, he just got there. If he was making a move with pocket 8s, which is certainly in his range, he just got there with those 2. I like to check, both to keep it in flow to the aggressor and for pot control. I don't want to bloat this thing up any more than necessary now. Surprisingly, he checks back. To the river and another undercard appears. Do I go for thin value here, or was he also pot controlling the turn with a set that didn't like the club draw completing? It's tough, and again, I think making a small thin value bet or checking it are both okay options. I go with the lower variance option and check, and he goes ahead and bets 150. These small river bets are interesting. They're either heavily weighted towards value and wants to milk every last possible drop, or they're more of a, I'm bluffing, but I'm afraid you're going to call, so I don't want to lose too much more sizing. I don't love it, but I don't think too long before calling. If I tank here, I have a feeling I'd top myself into a nitty fold, so I just rip off the band-aid. Good thing I did, because he says the 2 words everyone wants to hear when making a risky call. You're good. He turns over pocket 5s, and I take this nice pot down. I gotta give it to him. He wasn't going to back down from this pot without a fight.
Raise. We're not gonna let him go. Edge on Jack or 10. I don't think he's gonna let him go for anything. He's already committed. What do we do here?
I play a bit longer, but now it's getting late and I want to lock up a good win for confidence. It's especially nice building up a semi-obnoxious looking stack at a casino which has notoriously high rake. Seriously, Encore? $10 plus 2? Super nice property, but it's not going to be a regular on this channel, because rake that high is tough to beat. But for tonight anyway, I did. Again, welcome back to the channel. There's more coming. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.